Welcome to Sport Court with Angelo Ace Camacho at 1252 Sports Chicago.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the all-new and improved Sport Court. I'm here again with my guys, Andrew Tarbill from Turtles Take, and our boy Alan Bratcher down there. Hashtag Team Mongo. How we doing tonight, boys?
How you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself, Ace?
It's going, man. It's going. It's been a lot of stuff going on in Chicago sports lately, right? The Cubs can't seem to find out what kind of team they want to be. The White Sox are flying to the moon, kind of like Dogecoin.
Yes.
And if you're a big Sox fan right now, it's definitely the team to be on in the city because they just look unbeatable when they can put up the runs that they're putting up lately.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely crazy. I wish the Cubs could find some consistency like that, but it's either 14 or 0.
Right. I took my kid to the Cubs game last Friday, and let me tell you, first Cubs game he ever went to, it was kind of a bucket list thing for me. I took my stepson a few years ago, and we were at the David Bodie walk-off grand slam game against the Nationals.
Great game.
And let me tell you, it was a great game, but the Cubs looked lifeless in the 9th inning, and my dad was like, hey, this is over. There's 2 outs. Nobody's on base. Let's go. We're going to beat traffic. And I was like, all right, because he drove.
Ouch.
So we left. As we're walking out of the stadium, you see Hayward get on base. Then somebody else get on base. Then we get to the car, and bases are loaded. And then right where we were sitting, David Bodie blasts the home run that won the game. So I live with that every day. Like, damn, I would have been there. I bet it would have been nuts. To be in that atmosphere. So that's a little but we went Friday, and the Cubs, they played really well the first 8 innings. And then the 9th inning, I didn't understand why Kimbrel didn't come in. They almost gave that game away. They won the next game, but then on Mother's Day, since Mother's Day, I don't believe they've won a game. Because they lost Mother's Day against the Pirates.
Yeah,
that's correct.
So It's already Thursday. That was Sunday. This team, man, when they're cold, they are ice cold. It's not even cold. Yeah, it's terrible, right?
That's what kills me is the level of inconsistency that this club has had. It's like, go out and score X amount of runs for me every day, and I'm happy. But you score 14 runs in one game, and then you don't score any runs for 3 games afterward. That's definitely a problem.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
Actually, real quick, everybody knew we were going to get former Chicago Bears wide receiver Bernard Berrian on, and we were just waiting for him to join us in the green room. Looks like he's back there, and we can bring him on whenever you're set, Tarbill, and he's set. But I'm really excited to talk with him. I think it'll be a fun, interesting conversation that we're going to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick, guys, before we bring Bernard on, we are going to play a quick word from our sponsor, Nick and Ivy, in beautiful downtown Lockport, Illinois.
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
All right, guys, again, that was a quick word from our sponsor, Nick and Ivy Brewing, out in beautiful downtown Lockport, Illinois. If you're in the area, be sure to stop by for some great fresh brewed beer. Great place, great atmosphere.
Yeah, they're working on that, creek water, right?
Yeah.
I just seen on the Facebook. Sounds interesting, man. I'm
still stuck on that cookie dough, man.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm talking Paul about that.
Well, Bernard was there, and he is no longer in the green room. He looked like he was driving, so I'm not sure. Oh, there he is. There he
comes.
There we go.
Right.
We'll hop in with him. Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Cool.
Good
Bernard,
deal.
thanks for joining us tonight, man. How you doing?
Good. On the way to practice right now, but I'm doing good.
Nice.
So what team are you actually coaching right now?
Right now, we just got finished with our high school season, and I was coaching a high school, Buchanan High School out here in Fresno. But now we just started up. We just barely started. It's brand new, fresh. We're starting a youth football program up here. So we got 5 to 6 year olds, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 9 to 10, and 11 to 12 year olds. We're trying to get 5 teams going.
Oh,
And we're just starting that up. We just had our kickoff camp on Friday and Saturday, and today, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are our first 3 practices. So we're basically a training camp right now.
Nice. That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
That's awesome. So Bernard, before we jump into football talk, have you been following the Bears?
Yeah, definitely have. I keep up with them.
Awesome. So, what are your thoughts on them finally, hopefully, getting the quarterback position?
Get the
Getting it right.
That's hopefully.
Where was this at when I was playing? No, but,
Oh, here we go. All right. You're already getting into my questions, man. I love it.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the season. You know what I mean? I think even the NFL, is excited for the season. I was looking at the schedule and I saw a lot of TV games. I saw some Monday night games, saw a Thursday night game on there. So I'm pretty sure they're excited about seeing Justin Fields take the helm. I'm really excited about it. He was great in college and really great to look at. He's a force to reckon with.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I can say. I can't say too much about him, man. I'm just excited for the season. I'm really waiting to see what he's gonna do.
Yeah, because in reality, there was no way the Bears were going to be able to be like, "Hey, week 1, Andy Dalton, that's the savior of the franchise," And that's not a bash on Andy Dalton, but you're going to sell your fans a guy who's played in the NFL for 9 years and had subpar runs with Cincy after the seasons that they've just had the last 2 years. What do you think that having a guy like Fields can do, not just for this team but for the city?
I mean, it's great. It's football in Chicago. It's the biggest thing, one of the biggest things, especially if we're winning. And Justin Fields, he's got that leadership type mentality. He's going to command the offense. I don't think there's anything he hasn't seen coming from Ohio State where he's seen from. So he's well coached, he's well prepared. All he has to do is just really, everything's in line for him. He's got a team around him. He's got an offense around him. He's definitely got a defense. We don't have to worry about that at all. And he's got some skill players around him. So, I mean, it's just really just going in there, a smooth transition, which I don't see him having a problem with, and just going and taking off with the offense and learning, getting accustomed to the offense as quickly as possible and going and trying to make it his own as he can.
As quickly as possible. Do you think he starts week 1 or do you think he's sitting out a little bit?
I would like to see him start week 1. I don't see why wait. He's that Tyler Talbot, that kind of talent, throw him in. We've already kind of been there with Andy Dalton. We've seen that, been there, done that already before. I don't see like the bar raising or moving anywhere different with Andy Dalton in the game. So, I mean, you can protect Justin Fields with the defense we have. You can kind of protect him. And as the season progresses, you can start opening up the playbook as he starts to get more comfortable and more familiar with the offense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because so you were once a rookie in the NFL. What is that transition like from playing college ball to playing NFL ball? A lot of people say, it's a huge jump. Is it that extreme of a jump to learn, the offenses and, the speed of the game is a lot that they talk about. Do you see that being an issue for him, if he was to start week 1 right away?
It's not really the learning and taking in the offense and learning the offense. It's just it's more of the speed of the game and processing the offenses and being able to read and process, because people are moving. They're moving and it's 4-3. Now you look at people's 40s now. You got linebackers running high 4-3s, low 4-4s. Like they're sitting there. I'm running and they're running right next to me. So that decision making time it's split second. So that's the biggest problem. And I don't think people have a real problem coming in and learning the offense. It's just, when do I need to make the decision? And is this the right decision I'm making at the right moment?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, it's like for him, it's basically knowing. I mean, it's a little different for the QB position, obviously.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I see it as, just like you said, he can come in day one. They can have it set up for him, ready to go off the gate. Let's get it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and realistically, I think when you see a guy like that who's played on such a big stage, he's played, in games against Clemson and performed well. He was in the championship game there against Alabama. Unfortunately, they did lose. I'm an Alabama fan, so I had to get that dig.
Kind of glad he did now. I don't think we would have got him if he'd have beat Alabama.
Yeah.
You're probably right about that, Alan. He probably would have gone a little higher than 11 if that had been the case. But you're dealing with just such a different caliber player than what we had when Mitch came into the league. So I think you have to treat this situation completely different. You can't be cautious of Mitch's development and worry about how Justin's going to develop when he gets out there, because we've had things that haven't worked out in the past.
Yeah.
Right. And so, Bernard, I got a question for you. There's been this narrative around the Chicago Bears, that they don't want to have a black quarterback be the face of their franchise. And, if you go back through the history, I mean, the only ones that they've had were Cordell Stewart and, Jason Campbell for a year, right?
Yeah.
Jason Campbell. I think Jeff Blake. Jeff Blake was there for a little bit, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is right. Yep.
Now, do you think that kind of do you think that that's that there's any, I don't know how to phrase this, any truth to that? Yeah. And then if not, or if there is, do you think that this kind of puts that narrative to bed?
No, I don't. I definitely don't think there's any truth to it. I mean, Cordell Stewart, and if we're really going back and want to be racial, it was a lot more racial. I feel like race tensions were were heavier. That they might have been not as known or seen, but I feel like they were just as heavy as they were then, as if they are going to be now. And Cordell Stewart, he was a starter. He actually started for a while too, so I don't really see that being a big problem. It's just more of the line of waiting for the quarterback that fits your program.
Yeah,
it's basically what I see it is, and that's what I feel like Chicago's been doing and been done.
Yeah. So you played on the Super Bowl team. How was it, in the city playing for a team that was on its way to the Super Bowl? Because hopefully that's where this team is headed, right? With Justin Fields and what was that hype in the city like?
Well, I tell you what, me being a California kid, it's hard to leave California. But if it wasn't cold in Chicago, I'd live there. That's how good. That's how bad it was. Being in the Super Bowl in Chicago, there's nothing better than for it. Like, Chicago's a city, like, your career is.
Oh no.
After post-career set up for you, the fans love you, the city loves you. They really embrace their players. I mean, I can remember, partying during that run in bars. We're bartender. We're playing bartender. It was fun. It was a great time. So, that city, they love their sports teams. Like, I'm right there with you. They love their sports teams. So, it's one city that it's really, really, really hard to part and leave. Like, that city is really a part of my heart.
Awesome.
I hated that you did leave, though, and went to our rival, Minnesota. Can you explain to me why exactly? Oh, did you? Okay. So why exactly did you leave Chicago? Because, I remember that Super Bowl year and that catch you made against the Saints, snow coming down. That is probably my top 5 favorite catches of all time. Like, I literally teared up and fanboyed whenever you did that.
I'm running through some
Oh, he's breaking up.
Yeah, I think he's breaking up.
I got bad connection.
You back?
I heard something about why did you leave? That was like pretty much the only part I heard.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, why did you leave Chicago?
Let me see. Can you guys can hear me good though? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
You're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, from what I heard, the biggest, honestly, it was the difference in contract. It wasn't for me.
Oh, there he went.
Oh, well, looks like we lost him. If he jumps
We'll get
back
him
on,
back.
we'll jump. Yeah, we'll jump back on. But
I do remember that catch, though. My God, I fanboyed out hard. Like, I started crying a little bit because that was for me. That I'm serious. Like, for me, that was my first Super Bowl. I mean, I was like 1 or 2 when they went in '85, but that was it for me. Like, I'm like, this is my team. We're going there finally.
I was still 5 years from being born when they went to the Super Bowl.
I know.
I was still 9 years from being born, guys.
Well,
but you know,
it's a good feeling. I'll tell you what, guys.
Like I remember his speed, right?
Oh yeah.
And Grossman and him had this really good connection where I remember when they were playing the Packers and Grossman just steps back and lets it rip, and down the field it goes right to Berrian. And I know he left the year before Jay got, or the year, and then Jay came.
Yeah.
I feel like if he would have been there, that would have been a legit, number one option for Cutler. It looks like we got him back.
We'll give him a shot again. Here we go.
There we go.
All right. I don't know where I cut off at.
So basically,
go ahead, I can hear you guys now.
Okay, so basically, I asked. I remember that Saints game where you had that catch, you fell back. The fucking snow cue is perfect. I kind of fanboyed out that day. You were one of my favorite players ever for this organization, and I was crushed when you left. And basically what I was asking you was, why exactly did you leave? Was it just contracts?
Okay. Yeah, it was, I mean, it kind of did come down to contract. I really didn't want to leave at all, Chicago. I was trying to do everything I could to stay. But when I got to Minnesota, we got down to like the last nitty-gritty parts of it. And it wasn't really the difference in total contract money. I think the difference was like 15, 20 million in total contract. But is the difference in guaranteed money. And it was like 4.5, 5 million in the difference in guaranteed money there. Yeah. And that's that math right there is the one that adds up.
Yeah,
but
it's a no-brainer.
For me, in my situation, I was about 28, 29 going into my first free agency contract, and that's typically old. Yeah. Or for players going into the first free agency contract, that's older. So we kind of looked at it as like, I don't know, you might get a second free agency contract. At the time you're signing 6-7 years, so you're not sure if you're going to get another free agency contract. So it's like it's kind of take it or leave it.
That makes sense.
So I had to make the decision. Like, do you want to miss out on that 4 or 5 and take a lower contract, stay and play it out, and then hopefully get another one, or be secure and take that, and then hopefully make the playoffs or do whatever in Minnesota and make a new change. But I think that's where it really weighed down to. And then getting on the phone. I remember we got on the phone. I think it was Cliff at the time who was doing the contracts, and I remember hearing him say, they gave him that. And then I was like, well, yeah, we're definitely not going to match that.
Yep.
So I was like, well, all right.
Time to go.
Time to go. It made it easy for me.
No, yeah, definitely. So I'll segue it a little bit, and you kind of just hinted at this a little bit, but who is your favorite QB that you ever played with? It doesn't have to be Chicago. It doesn't have to even be pro. Like, who is your favorite QB that you ever did play with?
I'm gonna have to go with David Carr.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to get away from.
Okay.
I was a big fan of him too. Yeah, absolutely. That's a nice one. So
he had an arm.
Yeah, he had an arm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so what about your just favorite player that you've ever played with, whether it's pros in college, even at Atwater, California? I don't care where.
My favorite player. I'm gonna have to go probably Spice.
Oh, nice.
Spice. Okay. Anthony Adams.
Yeah. I love
Anthony.
Can't go wrong with the flip boy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to go wrong with AA, man.
For real, definitely. So another one I had for you. What do you miss most about the NFL?
Just the camaraderie, the locker rooms. Yeah, I kind of get it now, being a coach and getting back into coaching. This past season was my first year getting into coaching. I really didn't know if I was going to if I really wanted to do it or not.
Yeah.
But I found that I did. I actually like it, and I like mentoring the kids. Is really the passion I'm finding about it. But I don't know. it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say. I've been thinking about it lately, but we'll see when it comes down to it.
What kind of coach, if you had to pick a present day coach or a former coach, what kind of coach do you think you would be most similar to? Like a Mike Ditka or a Mike Tomlin? What kind? Who do you think you'd be most similar to?
That Dungy family, that Dungy tree, the Tony Dungy tree. I'm more that type. I'm not gonna get in your face and yell and scream and yell at you and and demand things of you like that way. I'm just gonna talk to you man to man, let you know, look you in your eye and tell you this is what you need to do. I don't need to scream and yell at you to get you motivated. If you're not motivated yourself, you really don't want to be here.
Right. Yeah.
Can't disagree with that.
Understood.
That's right.
Absolutely. So,
Charlie, you got any questions?
I was gonna ask, what was it like playing? I guess we kind of already touched on it, but what was it like playing with Rex? You guys had, I would say, quite the camaraderie. You were on the same page, able to connect on a lot of deep balls. What was it like playing with Rex as a teammate, as well as what was he like as a person?
Rex is a cool guy, very fun guy to be around. He spoke his mind all the time. But I love playing with Rex. A lot of people are like, Rex, on that super run, always talking about Kyle Orton being in the starting or not. That whole year. Quarterback controversy thing. I know. And then
everybody thinks he played that year, and I'm like, no, he didn't. I had somebody on
did it.
One of my Facebook pages arguing about that the other day. I'm like, no, he never played, guys. Like,
I didn't play that year. I was out. But I love Rex. That's what I always tell people. I was like, man, I didn't have a problem with Rex because Rex had an arm, and my specialty was getting down the field, and Rex was able to do that with me. Like, he let it fly. So it was like, even though sometimes it's kind of reckless at times, it didn't seem like it. But for me, it wasn't really reckless because most of the times it's down the field, and I'm getting double coverage every now and then, but most of the times it's single coverage, so it wasn't really too much of a risk take for him.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
And
that's why
whenever he was on. Like that boy was on. Yeah. I remember like the first 5 weeks that year, he was up for MVP. Like already talking about those conversations.
Mm-hmm. So, I do remember that.
Yeah, like crazy.
Yeah,
year.
for sure.
Crazy.
But no, he was putting up numbers.
Yeah. So how wild was it being a part of that comeback in Arizona?
Oh my God.
The whole Danny Green.
Well, first of all, to start off, it was embarrassing as hell for starters.
For you guys,
for one,
sure.
Being on the offensive side of the ball, you have no idea what it was like being a football player that day. Oh my God, we couldn't get anything accomplished. I mean, you want to talk about game plan? They game planned the hell out of us. I mean, we could not do anything. There was nothing they didn't know that was coming. Everything they knew everything we were doing that day, but. Devin, Peanut, Brian, they made it happen. Thank God.
I bet they didn't let you forget about it either, man. I
don't know how the football gods, the football gods were on our side that night. I don't know. All the angels came out to play. And the harps were singing. Everything was in lined up for that because that win wasn't supposed to happen at all. Not at all.
Having number 23 don't hurt, man. Yeah. Having number 23 don't hurt at all.
No.
So we had Devin on a few maybe about a month ago, I believe, and we talked to him about the Hall of Fame and all that stuff. I'd like to get your opinion. Do you see Devin Hester as a Hall of Famer?
I would like to see him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, there's nobody who did what he did.
No.
I'm nobody. Right. I can't see. I don't see anybody doing it else ever again.
No, definitely not ever again.
There's only been one player to do what he's done. Like, and in the fashion he did it. Like,
and then the NFL changed the rules afterwards.
Just talk about Devin. Right. I know you're changing rules for him. It's like it's a Will Chamberlain type deal. Like if you got to change rules for player, Hall of. That's automatic. It should be automatic.
You'd think.
You would definitely think so.
A lot of people don't feel that way. And a lot of former players I've even talked to don't feel that way. It's crazy. But
I mean, Hester was the first person in Madden to have a 99 100 in any category, and it was for speed. Like, the dude changed the game, and to think that he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame is kind of silly. Just, in my
if you're the best at what you do, the Hall of Fame as a whole is being the best at what you do, and he is. And there's just no other debate with me about that. If you're the best at what you do,
there's no way around that.
You automatically are in. I don't care.
There's no other returner. I mean, Dion was a great returner. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, and there's some other good returners, but
if you're the best at something, you should get the recognition.
Overall, there wasn't nobody doing what Devin did.
No,
exactly.
Right.
And then there's other players that are in the Hall of Fame, I feel, that aren't as deserving, and they're in the Hall of Fame, and they're in the Hall. You know what I mean? So it's like
all over the place, man.
What's the cutoff and what's the litmus test? Like,
what
are the metrics to get you into the Hall?
That's the problem with the Hall of Fame is that they don't have any bar. Like the only bar is that you have to be out of the league for 5 years, and that's it. It's fucking insanity.
Well, and like Devin said, eventually you're gonna have, because that's all they want is quarterbacks and wide receivers, right? And eventually you can only have so many quarterbacks be best quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. Like we just said, Hester changed the game. It wasn't like, oh, he was good for a couple seasons. No, like he was so good, the NFL changed rules because of how effective he was in his position.
Yeah.
So
right.
So what do you think about the 17-game schedule now?
Yeah.
I feel
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. I mean,
I can't stand it. I don't understand.
I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather them. It's why one more. I mean, I obviously know why. It's money, but
same thing with everything.
It's just
right.
I feel like it's just another chance to get players hurt, and I thought one of the goals is player safety, and trying to keep everybody in for the playoffs and for Super Bowl runs and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the extra game. Plus, I want to get to the playoffs a little bit quicker. I don't want to wait another week now, a whole another week of games.
Right.
Well, and then you're going to get less quality teams making it to the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like last year, right? The Bears had no place making it into the playoffs like they did, and that's just the kind of caliber of team you're going to get in that last spot. And I just think it's a waste of a game, and it's going to put more players at risk, to be honest.
Yeah.
They need to figure out a better way. I feel like NBA, what they did with the play-in, I actually like the play-in rule that they did with the NBA. That creates more competition instead of, because they got 82 game season, it kind of creates more competition. But this 18 game season, I don't see any benefit really at all to it besides earning some extra money.
I think they need to expand the roster, honestly. Like if you're going that route, just add another 5-6 players to a team, whatever.
Now, Bernard, I know we gotta let you go here, but we are having this little discussion between the three of us on what's more entertaining to watch: a dominant pitching performance or a dominant defensive performance in the NFL. If you had to pick one to watch, what would you find more entertaining?
It's gonna be an easy one for him. I would hope.
Because you've been on the teams with some pretty dominant defensive performances.
Right.
You got to watch.
Yeah, I've seen some domination before, so it's like,
that's just another day at the office for you, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go a dominant defensive game. Yeah, I'll probably have to go at a dominant defensive game. Yeah, that's a lot more can happen. I can see interceptions, fumbles, quarterbacks getting blown up, ball popping up in the air. Like every time they get on the field,
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely a defensive game.
So right before you head out, I had one more question. Do you still got Roscoe? Your snake?
I don't. Roscoe died on me.
Oh, he did? Oh,
so when we went to Super Bowl, that's when he actually died on me. When we went to the Super Bowl, right before, during that whole season, right before we went, I think like the last 2 months of going right before the Super Bowl, he stopped eating. He stopped feeding.
Oh, man.
So I bring him a rat, weekly, every 2 weeks, I bring him another rat, and he still wouldn't feed, still wouldn't feed. So I was like, all right, he's hungry. He's done. He's not feeding for a while. So I went for about 4 months, no feeding. Finally, we come up to, I think it's, I want to say it's the NFC Championship game. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting scared now because it's been a while. And I'm like, man, he needs to eat. Something needs to eat. He needs to eat. He's still living, but I'm like, he needs to eat. I go to the store, go to the pet store, I pick up a route, pick up a rat, comes back, and he eats. So I was like, yes, thank God. He's back. Roscoe's back. So I go up. I go up. I go down to Super Bowl. He's watched. I got him in a nice spot where it's warm, taken care of. He's still got food, and he's being watched. But I think the day I got back, the next day he died, and I was, that was it.
Oh man,
well, you
I don't know why. I don't know what happened.
And then
Just sad. He just died.
That's a
I
hell
think he
of a
was
bad
sad. He
week.
didn't get to go on the trip.
Right.
He didn't get.
I got
He
one
needs to go
more
to the
yes or
trip.
no question for you before we let you go. Do you think Justin Fields will lead the Bears to the promised land?
It don't have to be this year.
Not this
Say
year,
that,
but
repeat that.
eventually. Do you
cutting in
think
and
that
out.
Justin Fields will be the
No, I think-
quarterback to lead the Bears to a Super Bowl victory eventually?
Yeah, actually, I think so. I definitely saw that window it's small, so I think that's why they made the move. I'm glad he fell to 12 or fell to 11, but the window of time that window of time is really it's cutting down. It's getting small right now because you got a lot of star players that are getting older and going to be pretty much on their way out. So I mean, if the next year, within 3 years for sure, I mean, they got the talent, they got the team. They got the structure. Everything's really ready to go. All they needed was that piece, and now we got that piece. And once he gets his mind right and matched with the physical ability, I mean, it's sky's the limit. I guess you could really say.
It's
Awesome.
a wrap after that.
Bernard, I want to thank you, man, for coming on, taking the time to talk with us. I know you're a busy man, getting ready to go play some football, coach some kids up. So thanks for the time, and hope that we can connect again soon.
Absolutely, man.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks you guys for having me on.
Thanks,
Thank
Bernard.
you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Bernard.
it.
Take care.
All right, guys. Bernard Berrian, we had some good questions in there, man. We got to talk to him a little bit about the Super Bowl, talk with him about the Arizona Cardinal game. We got a little nugget that it's about time that the Bears finally got a quarterback. I know we had heard
players too, Chubbs.
I know we had gotten some Eddie Jackson soundbite about finally getting a real quarterback, but it's nice to get a receiver's point of view on that. The guy
where was that
with,
when I was playing? I can't.
right. That was right. Yeah. Where was that when I was playing?
Oh.
That was I mean, it doesn't get any more blunt than that, right?
It's one of those
Right.
unwritten things that a lot of those guys, don't say, but the older they get, the more I hear these guys starting to say this shit now,
Yeah.
And it's been the narrative for our entire lifetime. We've never had this caliber of a QB in this town, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. For the first time ever, I think.
Like we talked about it with Braggs last week about how like Trubisky hype was different than this hype, right? And I think it's because most of us knew that we wanted somebody like Deshaun Watson's game, and we got Mitch Trubisky, right? But Justin Fields is on that level, at least in college, of a Deshaun Watson, right? He had those big games, won some, lost some, so he's been through adversity. He's a guy that really could, at least in my opinion, I think he's going to change the fortunes of this franchise.
Well, and we touched on it a little bit there with Bernard. He's played on the biggest stages, so that just gives you hope. That was something that we never saw with Trubisky. I mean, he played one season, and then he came to the NFL. Obviously, they're different caliber players, and I don't even want to really have the two in the same sentence because realistically, Justin Fields is just that much more superiorly athletic. He has the ability to read the defense, which is something we saw Mitch lack against top tier defenses, and
very much so.
The speed, so on and so forth. I mean, the IQ is the one thing that sticks out for me when it comes to Justin Fields. Highest score on an IQ test ever for a quarterback.
Over 6,500. I'm pretty sure it was like 6,500 people. It wasn't just QBs, and it wasn't just NFL.
Yeah,
players.
he just
right. You're right.
The board, and he was tops.
And that obviously speaks to his ability. And I think his development is going to be suited really well in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Chubbs is saying Justin Fields is going to start week 1. If he doesn't, they should fire Matt Nagy.
Well, and here's the thing about that is that the more especially on my Bears Facebook page that I have, the more the weeks go on, the more I hear he should start week 1. As soon as the schedule came out, we need to start in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because everybody wants to see the shiny new toy.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we're kind of jumping a little overboard here. Let's see how he is in camp. Let's see what kind of player he comes out. And if he wins the job, he wins the job. If he doesn't win the job, what's it going to take for him, to surpass Andy Dalton? I would certainly think not a lot. Hopefully, Jesus Christ. But I'm not just going to say throw him into the Wolves day 1 because he might not be ready. We all think he's ready. He might be ready if you're playing Madden, but that's not real life, guys. And we need to just sit back, let them have their own process and see what happens. Do not jump the gun on this guy. I've heard some other podcasters going out and say, let Andy Dalton take that beating, let Andy Dalton go out on day 1, because we have a newer line it's going to need some time really to get set and, get going. Maybe it's a good idea to sit him a little bit. I still think if he's not in by week 8, then he's not going to play all year.
I agree.
But here's
my thought process behind it. What future do you have with Andy Dalton? None, right?
Zero.
Everybody knows that Justin Fields is the guy going forward, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion, why waste time with Dalton? I understand if Justin Fields doesn't seem ready, he can't process it, something's just not clicking, then start Dalton. But if he's on par with Dalton, then I would start him. Why not? You're going to give him the more experience. That's what everybody says a quarterback needs in the NFL, right? Experience, reps. And the defense isn't getting any younger.
No, it's
right?
second oldest.
It's struggled the last couple of years, especially last year, to really kind of hold teams down. Why not give this
Pagano problem?
Right.
In my opinion, that's a system-based problem. You now have Sean in here, the professor, and he seems like he's going to run more of a Vic Fangio type, system, which is what we need. We need, the turnovers predicated on pressure. Figure out what the fuck is wrong with Robert Quinn. I know there's been reports about his foot coming out bad, since the 3rd preseason game, but figure out what's going on. I heard an interview with him the other day, and he's preaching competition. He's preaching these kinds of things. These are the things that we have to hear going forward. It's all nice to hear, but I want to see it on the field. And I feel like this is the guy who will push these guys like Eddie Jackson. He's going to push Robert Quinn. He's going to put them in the right positions, and then they're going to succeed, hopefully. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and that's something too. When it came to Chuck Pagano, he was always very talkative at the press conferences about, I think last year he said, we're putting all the bullets in the gun. We're taking out all the stops. And
I don't think he put the bullets in the gun. That's the problem. I think he went with the entire game. It's like,
what are you doing with the caliber of offense or defensive players that you have? I don't care how putrid the offense is performing. You should be blitzing. You should be putting that pressure on the opposing quarterback, and you have the talent to do it. You have Khalil Mack on this team. Robert Quinn was somewhat successful before he came to Chicago as on the edge. Yeah. I mean, we didn't see it out of him last year. Put a fire under his ass. Yes. Hold these guys accountable, and get them out there and get the best out of them. That's your job as a coach.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing
and that's what I'm hoping Sean Desai does, is that he comes in and he finally lights this fire under their ass that they need. And I've heard reports, and I'm not the stat guy. I'm not going to pretend like I am.
I'm on the same page as you.
I heard that Khalil Mack dropped back like 30% of the time, last year. Let that fucking guy go get his paycheck on the quarterback. Do not fucking sit him.
Right, that's why you brought him here. You didn't bring him here to play coverage.
Every time I saw him in coverage on that side of the ball, and I see Kyle Fuller back, 7 yards off a fucking defender, I know where the ball's going. Like, I know what's about to happen. It's blatantly fucking obvious to me. And the fact that, a casual fan sees this as a problem and week after week after week, it's the same story. Like, why the fuck wasn't there anything changed then? They did it on the offensive side, but I feel like the defense really got hurt last year just from his play calling alone. But now let's see what happens going forward.
I would agree with that, Alan. Just real quick to touch on that, though, I do have to say I think it was a respect for Chuck as a coach and what he had done previously. They knew he was gone at the end of the year, so they kind of just let him ride it out.
I'm about winning fucking football games.
Exactly. I agree.
That's
I
how
don't think that's the right move, but I feel like that was the mentality coming from Hallis Hall.
Yeah, which is that old school fucking rub my back,
Yeah, exactly.
Pat on the ass. Remember 85, all that bullshit.
Remember 85? No, I don't.
I'm sick
I
of
don't
that
either.
shit.
I wasn't around.
Yeah, luckily. But I'm just sick of that kind of mentality, guys. Like, I'm so sick of, we need to re-sign Brian Urlacher as a linebackers coach because he was fucking here, or
man.
like that kind of shit. Like, what's the point of that? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Go get the best people available.
Yep.
If you're not doing your fucking job, then get the hell out. Period. Yeah. And this is what I'm starting to hopefully see now from the offensive side of the ball, not just mediocrity across the board or, we'll just let Laser do it for a little bit. And, we're running the ball now, guys, so it's okay. Who gives a shit that it's against 4 defenses that were 27 and worse?
Yeah.
But we're winning games against shit, guys.
Yeah.
Like
those last 4 games, right, that they put Trubisky back in. What did that accomplish for us other than, obviously, hindsight's 2020.
We had to give up more for Justin Fields. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Because if we fucking lose those games, we're down to 10, 11, or 12 right there. We're not giving up another first-round pick. And guess what? We're not embarrassed in the fucking playoffs either.
Right.
Yep.
From day one, I sat there. As soon as that schedule came up, Houston, all those teams, I'm like, here we go. We're going to get just good enough to fucking be there, but not good enough to do anything else. And it's the same with the Bulls. It's the same with the Cubs. It's the same shit. It's just a different team. Like for me, either be up high or down low.
Right, because the middle is football hell.
It is.
Being in the middle gets you nowhere.
It's insanity. All it does is just it drives me crazy because I sit and think, well, maybe we might start, turning it up a notch. Nope.
Yeah.
It's just as soon as we play the Packers, where are we at? We're getting fucking embarrassed.
Every time.
Every fucking time. So now
maybe not for much longer, though, right?
Let's hope
maybe not much longer, right?
Let's hope he just goes to fucking Jeopardy and calls it a career. Just get him out.
Blake Bortles is the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I would think Blake Bortles every day.
As a Bears fan, I feel like we're finally getting our justice. Like, okay, guys, I know I'm the old grandpa here, right? I watched Brett Favre do this shit to us. And guess what happened right after Brett Favre did it? Aaron fucking Rodgers comes right behind him and does the same fucking thing to us. And I'm like, when the fuck is it our turn?
When are they going to have a bad quarterback? It's got to be Jordan Love, right?
When are they going to have this bullshit happen?
At least it seems that way because they are real hesitant to want to put him in that game.
And they know right now. The guy first, and he was probably going to fall to the second had they not taken him there.
Yes. Yeah. They know right now that Jordan Love is not the answer.
Yeah,
100%. Because if they did, I'm telling you, Aaron wouldn't fucking be here. Aaron would have already been gone. He'd have been on the 49ers, sitting there pretty with his great team. Probably had a chance to win a Super Bowl there. But now he's just stuck in limbo. Yeah. What the hell's going to happen? Right. Probably Denver from the way it sounds. It's either Denver or bust. I mean, I don't know any other team off the top of my head that that really has enough that could compete with him. But I don't even think if him going to Denver, I don't think that really makes him that much better. Like, honestly, my opinion.
I mean, they have some weapons, though, up there.
They
for
do,
him.
but I mean, I watched a little bit of Denver last year. I was never blown away with their offense, but they also didn't have a QB.
Right.
You're right. But like for me, I just don't see Aaron winning anything anymore. Like in Green Bay or in Denver, anywhere he goes, I don't see him really getting to that level unless it's like, you know, if he came to the Bears, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be the first one in line to buy a Rodgers Bears jersey.
I have a question for you then. Hypothetically, what if the Packers just said, hey, you
don't do it to me.
You give us Justin Fields.
Don't do it.
And a first-round pick. We'll give you Aaron straight up.
No.
Would you do that?
Yes.
You would, wouldn't you? What about Russell Wilson?
Hold on.
Same thing
it
with
would
Russell
have to
Wilson,
be
right?
how many years are left on Rodgers' contract.
So I think he's got 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. But you're going to have to restructure it because
obviously,
I don't think there's a lot of guarantee there. I'm not a cap expert. I'm not going to fucking say I am.
Yeah.
But
right.
But I feel like that you would have to restructure his contract a little, yeah. But if you had Aaron Rodgers with the wide receiving core we have today and that offensive line, would you not take that offer in a minute, Tarbill? Really? Are you going to tell me that?
Not. I will tell you that because
Why?
For the simple reason that Aaron Rodgers is what, 36, 37
How
years
old? Tom Brady.
Okay,
42.
but Aaron Rodgers isn't Tom Brady.
Is he better than Tom Brady?
Yes. Right now, yes.
Absolutely not.
He is better than Tom Brady.
Without a doubt.
He's won one Super Bowl, guys. Everyone puts Aaron Rodgers on this pedestal.
From the Tampa Bay and Green Bay.
Because he carries a team by himself, Tarbill. Like, if you put Aaron Rodgers on the Tampa Bay team last year, they might not have lost like 2 games, maybe. Like he makes so much happen.
No,
he makes everyone look better.
The only reason I say yes is because you don't know what Justin Fields is.
You don't.
Right? You know that Aaron Rodgers was the MVP last year.
Exactly.
Period. There can't be that much of a dramatic fall off. Right. There can't be that much of a dramatic fall off from last year's MVP season to the following year. He hasn't had those dramatic fall offs.
He's actually going to be the same guy because he's going to come out just as pissed off because nobody holds a fucking grudge like that dude. Nobody.
No, he hates his mother.
His fucking parents.
He hates his family.
Like,
that's right. When you hate your parents, it's all over.
I'm just saying, like, it just feels like, you know, you either you mortgage your future or you have a window of 3 to 4 years now, right?
Yeah. Now, the meathead Bears fan in me is obviously forget Aaron Rodgers. And
Aaron
Rodgers. That's Chubbs, the meathead fan in me.
Chubbs, right here. He's our sworn enemy. All that shit, right? Okay. I understand you because my whole life I've been that same guy. I have been that guy who's like, you know, oh, fuck Brett Favre. He fucking sucked, blah, blah. Aaron Rodgers fucking sucks, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? 5 years ago, if you had a chance for him, you would forget all that bullshit and you would have took him in a fucking heartbeat.
It's that same argument.
Anybody who says differently is a liar.
It's the same people who say that they didn't want LeBron James on the Bulls, right? After the Heat. I would have taken LeBron. I hate LeBron James as a basketball player. As a person, he's you can never say anything bad about that guy. But as a basketball player, I hated him playing when the Bulls played against him. He destroyed the Bulls. Yeah, I would have loved to have had a LeBron James Chicago Bulls jersey, though.
LeBron James with Dwayne Wade and Derrick Rose, Luol Deng, fucking Taj Gibson, and Joakim Noah on the same team. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
They would have won multiple fucking championships.
That would have been crazy. I'll give you that. But I mean, back to your question, Alan. I think that for me, it goes down to yes, Aaron Rodgers is a phenomenal football player. I'm not arguing that. Obviously he was MVP last season. He's put up tremendous numbers his entire career, but I kind of have to look at it from the starting a new perspective. And I do believe I have a lot of faith in Justin Fields. Obviously we haven't seen him take a snap yet but I've seen him play in college. And if 80% of what he did in college translates to the NFL, we're going to have a hell of a quarterback on our hands here for the next 10 plus years, guys. Yeah. And that's something we haven't had. I mean, the Bears have this history of drafting a subpar guy and then going after a veteran to try to fill the hole. And it's a void that hasn't been filled for Bears fans ever. We've never had a franchise quarterback.
Sid Luckman.
I mean, Sid Luckman, Jim McMahon, but
Jim McMahon wasn't even, and I know he's been on this network. We love him. We do. Yep. Jim McMahon was maybe average at best.
He was surrounded by the greatest quarterback of all time.
You go look at his stats, Carbill. Yes. He was average at best. He is the most overrated quarterback in town.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He did take you somewhere. So that's the difference, is that he helped take us to the pinnacle, right? I remember that Vikings game. He came in the Vikings game, blah, blah, blah. First pass, threw a touchdown. Yeah. He had the mojo that year, right?
Yep.
That's great. But you can't tell me that if we had, another caliber quarterback around that era, he wouldn't have been the same fucking kind of guy. He wouldn't have done the same kind of shit. Maybe we needed his attitude, against Ditka. So then we didn't have, that tight end, bullshit he was talking about with Angelo, saying that he had a tight end running his entire offense.
Right.
And blah, 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 that. Maybe another quarterback would have listened to Ditka. Maybe it wouldn't have went as well. Who knows? But you're not going to tell me that that's the reason that they didn't win another one is because of him. Because maybe if they had somebody a little better, maybe they would have won another Super Bowl,
Yeah,
well, he was injured.
He was
the next year
on the most bullshit play I've ever seen.
So
in my life.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that if he stays healthy, the Bears could have repeated. And a lot of people think they would have, right? But I understand what you're saying, Alan. Like, he wasn't somebody like an Aaron Rodgers who.
All right, Chubbs.
Chubbs is definitely on the meathead wagon.
I'm on the train with Chubbs, though.
I love it.
I'm right there with him,
Chubbs,
guys.
82. Chubbs, 82. That means you're 38 years old. I'm 37. I've been on this train with you, Chubbs. I get it. I've been a meathead forever. Every time I see Brett Favre on the screen, I fucking hate him. I hate him, blah, blah, blah.
Careful, that's Mike's favorite quarterback.
Yeah, I know. Oh, my God, I know. And same thing with Aaron Rodgers. But at the end of the day now, let's embrace what we have. Let's be happy about what we have. But let's not be so short-sighted as to say that if we had one of those guys, we wouldn't be a better football team right now, because that's just an egghead bullshit thing to say.
Well, obviously we would be a better football team if we had Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that's the question.
I mean, he carries everybody
in the NFL, with maybe the exception of the Chiefs, would be a better team if they had Aaron Rodgers on their roster.
Yeah.
But we have our future here, guys, and that's to me, I would not want to see the Bears organization. The same thing's been brought up with Russell Wilson, right? Waddle and Sylvie the other day on ESPN Chicago brought up, would you do the same thing to trade Justin Fields for Russell Wilson? I would not. I don't want to go with, yes, it's a proven guy, I get it, but I don't want to go with somebody that's in their 30s. I want to go with this young guy who, if we do it right, can have so much potential for this organization, and we can build around him. We have time here, guys.
Hey, yo, that's my dad. Who's
this guy? Who's this guy right here? I love it. Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have a championship if it wasn't for the Bears losing to the Packers in the final game of that season. Well, see, Angelo.
What? What?
He went off and he beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl, correct?
Yeah, but
yes. So he still won the Super Bowl.
Whatever.
But yes.
But here's the thing. The Bears. So let's just put this into. Okay, now the meathead fan in me is coming out, right? So
I was trying to pull him out.
You got him, because here I go. Aaron Rodgers has as many Super Bowl victories as our third string quarterback.
Correct.
Right? Nick Foles has a Super Bowl. Nick Foles was a Super Bowl MVP. So Brett Favre has as many Super Bowl victories as our third string quarterback. The Packers, to me, are a failed organization because if you have that caliber of quarterback talent for that amount of time and you win 2 Super Bowls in 30 years, that's a failed organization to me, right?
So we've won 1 in 35.
Right, and the Bears are a failed organization.
Too.
I've talked about this on plenty other past shows.
So
I think the Bears are failed.
Okay,
Somebody like, the Patriots, that's a successful organization.
That's an easy one to say, Angelo. Like
I get it.
How about the Giants? Or
even guys like Ben
Ravens?
Roethlisberger have been to 2 Super Bowls. Aaron Rodgers only been to 1.
Well, you want to know another really awesome stat? Since 2017, he has the same amount of playoff wins as his new teammate Blake Bortles does. He's got 2.
I told you, I shared that on the 1252 that there's a QB competition heading to Green Bay, baby.
There is, but why is that way? I feel like if Aaron Rodgers was here, then we wouldn't be having that conversation because they'd be doing everything in their power to keep him happy.
Yeah.
And they'd be doing everything in their power to surround him with everything they needed to win. That's the difference. Is that Green Bay is just used to this shit.
Yeah. Well, I listened
to the little single guy who's begging to get the hot girl.
Yeah.
But we can never get the hot girl. We can promise her, I have money, I have all this stuff.
I have a house, I have a car,
but you got the douchebag asshole over here who he's got her right under his wing, guys, and he's not letting her go. He's not letting her go.
I guess
I watched Colin Cowherd a couple days ago, and he was talking about how the Packers are like that mom and pop shop, right? Like they don't change things up because, it worked for us all this time. We're just going to do what we've been doing.
Exactly.
We're not going to buy into the free agency. We're not going to spend a lot of draft capital moving up in the draft and all this stuff. And it's been somewhat successful. They've made the playoffs quite a bit, but at the end of the day, where have they gone? Every time the Packers make the playoffs,
that's the same thing that we do. That's the same thing we do on the defensive side. Oh, we got to have a fucking middle linebacker because we're Chicago and we need a middle fucking linebacker, right? Like, I just listened to a couple other guys talk about this the other day. Like, why the fuck do we need to have a middle linebacker? Like, we can have other positions that are successful, like offense.
I do agree with that.
It's fucking 2021.
Well, the Bears are good at finding.
We're the only team that doesn't have a 4,000-yard passer. Are you going to sit and tell me the charter fucking franchise over 100 fucking years and we've never had a 4,000-yard passer? We're the only fucking team. That's sad.
That's horrible.
It's bad when Jay Cutler is the leader in every
glorified.
Yes, statistic for this team.
Is our all-time leading scorer still Robbie Gold?
I'm pretty sure.
That could be a question for Dan when he joins us.
Well,
but before we bring Dan on, you wanna?
Yeah, before we bring Daniel on, guys, we're going to take a quick word to our sponsor, John Darren, and his team with the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group out in Homer Glen.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Darren, licensed real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group in Homer Glen. Are you looking to buy or sell? Have you been disappointed in the past? The Jonathan Darren team with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group focuses on providing you with a concierge level of service during the process of buying or selling. We are a service-oriented team with a fresh and professional approach to selling real estate. Our goal is to combine knowledge, skills, and passion to exceed our clients' expectations, and most of all, we truly care. We are a knowledgeable real estate team focused on offering expertise and innovative solutions for our clients. The Jonathan Darren team has 5 full-service real estate brokers and a dedicated full-time marketer servicing all of Chicagoland. We will customize a detailed plan around your timeline for a sale, purchase, investment, estate, or other needs. Real estate transactions can be stressful, but don't need to be. Let us handle it for you. Visit our website, homesbyjdt.com, or call 708-308-1938 today. Expect better in real estate. Choose the Jonathan Darren team.
All right, guys, and again, that was a quick word from our sponsor, the Jonathan Darren team with the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group out in Homer Glen. If you're looking to buy a home in the area, be sure to reach out to John and his team. They are absolutely the best.
All right, well, without further ado, let's bring our guy. We're a big fan of his over here at the 1252 Sport Court, Fat Mike, Chicago Sports. All the shows love this guy. Let's bring him on. Our guy Daniel Greenberg. Thanks for joining us, Dan. How we doing?
There he is.
Good. How are you guys?
Good,
man, the myth, the legend.
Well.
Right
yeah, the man who single-handedly put our Jim McMahon interview all over the place.
He started the trend, buddy.
That's right. That's right. It was because of him that we hit where it went. You know what I mean? And we appreciate all the love that you've shown us on this network. And let's dive right in, man. The Bears' schedule came out, and they have quite a few. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 primetime games.
Ugh.
Is this a sign that the Bears are they're coming? They're on their way up.
I would say yeah, especially since they drafted Justin Fields. You got more like the headlines. So I definitely think 5 primetime games. I mean, the Bears got to show up. You know, this is a big season, not just for the players, but also the front office and coaching staff. So it should be a very interesting season, and a lot of people are going to be watching Bears games, not just locally.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
absolutely.
What do you think about the draft that we just had, and how long do you really honestly think it is until Justin Fields actually hits the field?
Yeah, I thought it was a good draft by the Bears. Heading into it, I was very nervous, just because I was like, you guys, the Bears need to get a quarterback. Don't know what quarterback, but please get a quarterback. Basically, that's
right.
When
Give me something.
Yeah. So when they traded up, I kind of it was either Mac Jones or Justin Fields. I didn't really care which quarterback, but I was happy they drafted Justin Fields. And if I was them, I would start Justin Fields week 1.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
That's
I'm on
the
that
same
same.
person who said that. Bernard Berrian
So we just had this conversation before you jumped in.
Which
and
you probably already know.
I think the same thing. Like, what's the future with Andy Dalton? Nothing, right? So why not just throw Fields if he's on the same level as Andy Dalton going into week 1? Then why not start him? What's the worst that happens? You know what I mean? If he's the guy and he has the talent, then just throw him out there, right? I mean, in my opinion, that's just what I think.
Well, and they're also going to have training camp this year. They're going to have preseason games. And I think Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. I've already seen enough of Andy Dalton. And let's not forget that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are on the hot seat. So why are we wasting time? Let's get right to it. And, you know, the players are going to notice, too, when there's going to be practice, that Justin Fields, like, man, this guy can actually throw the ball. And they're going to be talking in the locker room, too. So I don't want to waste time. You know, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, you guys got to step up also. So let's have our best quarterback play, and let's win some football games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and that's one thing, Daniel, that concerns me is that, you know, Matt Nagy was a part of the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, everyone knows that he was there to help the relationship between Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. He was a big advocate for him sitting for almost the entire rookie season. How much do you really think that affects Matt Nagy's thought process here in Chicago, being through something like that? Do you think he's going to really try to stick to that mentality of we need to keep him on the bench? Or do you think he's going to be a little more risky and say, okay, this kid's showing me some good things, I want to get him out there?
Yeah, maybe in the beginning they're going to be talking about, oh, we're going to be patient with him. But we all know this is the Chicago Bears. And when you're going to start losing football games, everyone's going to be calling for you guys to get fired. This is a business. And Justin Fields will win you football games. And they all know that he's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. And, you know, you got to play Field. That's why I say week 1, start him. Let's not waste time, because this defense is pretty old. Like, there are a lot of players on that defense are 30 years old or even older. So
second oldest defense in the league, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't be wasting time. And Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, I mean, like I said, if they're going to be patient with Justin Fields, then I truly believe they got a contract extension over the summer.
So that's what I was just going to ask. You had mentioned that you thought they were on the hot seat, and there's been a lot of, you know, dancing around the question from when Ryan Pace has been asked about his contract. I felt since the beginning that the Andy Dalton move signified that both those guys were safe for at least one more season, no matter the outcome of this season. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, for them to not say they're like give an update on their contract extension, I think it's a slap in the face to Bears fans. I think Bears fans deserve to know. And it's also a slap in, Yep, and it's also a slap in the face that they took their contract update off their website, the Bears website. So it's not there anymore. And like I said, if they're not going to start Justin Fields week 1, then I'm totally convinced that they sign a secret contract extension, which is just stupid for me to. If you're going to sign an extension, make it public. Let's not sugarcoat stuff.
Right. Well, now they can do that because they have Justin Fields. I feel like maybe if they would have came out with that a month or two ago, we would have been all at House Hall with fucking pitchforks.
Yeah.
ready to murder somebody because we didn't know the direction that we have now. But
well, and Dan, have you ever seen a situation where, like, 3 weeks ago, the city was just done with Pace and Nagy, and then all of a sudden, one night changed everything. Everyone's talking about, oh man, Ryan Pace saved this franchise, and yeah, that's all well and good, but again, his history with quarterbacks is sketchy to say the least, and the history of Ohio State quarterbacks isn't the greatest. Now, what do you think is Justin Fields' ceiling? Do you think he can get onto that Russell Wilson type of level, or is he going to be one of those guys that, yeah, he's good, but he's not great?
Yeah, let me first say on the Ryan Pace, I think the Mitch Trubisky pick was all Ryan Pace.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Justin Fields pick is all Matt Nagy.
Agree.
I think this was all Matt Nagy. I think, yes, they talked with Ryan Pace, the scouting department, everything, but this was Matt Nagy. He wanted this guy. The Zoom calls that with Justin Fields, that was all with Matt Nagy. You know, they went over formations. Who called Justin Fields when he got drafted? Matt Nagy, not Ryan Pace. And who had more calls with Justin Fields after the draft? It was Matt Nagy. So I think this is all Matt Nagy. What does the future hold for Justin Fields? It really all depends on when they're going to start him. And it all depends on when there's going to be pressure for them if they don't start him. And there's Andy Dalton, let's just say, for example, the first 4 games, they go like 1-3. And then people are going to be calling, it's time to start Justin Fields. That pressure, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with that in Hallis Hall. But I think if you start him week 1, I'm all for him making mistakes. Let him do his thing. I think the future is very bright for him.
I agree, because if you throw him in there, the Bears, let's say they're 1-5, right? You throw him in there and you're basically saying, okay, now save our season. You're throwing all that additional pressure on the kid who doesn't really need it. And Bears fans are already going to be, you know how we are, right? 1-5 is not going to be a pretty place for that franchise.
I have people that would yell at you for saying that we're going to be 1-5. Oh my God.
I mean, to put that kid in that situation, I would much rather start him, just throw his feet to the fire and see what happens, you know? And now there was a lot of talk when Mitch was here, and I don't like to bring up the past, but was it Mitch's fault or was it Matt Nagy's fault? In your opinion, who was more responsible for why it didn't work?
Yeah, so let me first off say that I'm a huge Mitch Trubisky fan. I loved everything about him because for me, let me say this. I know people close to him, and the whole story, everything that happened with Mitch Trubisky, Matt Nagy, a lot of it people don't know. So I feel for the kid. Why it didn't work out, it's a good question. You saw in the end of this past season, there was more bootlegs. They did a lot of stuff that Mitch actually wanted. Why didn't they do that in the first half of the season? No one knows. But I think it just didn't work out. I think, like I said, it was Ryan Pace's pick, and Matt Nagy was like, oh, let's just get this over with. And he even said that he's been scouting Justin Fields for over a year. So he had his eyes for Fields for a long time. But why it didn't work out, I don't know. And we'll see.
You just kind of elaborated a little bit, saying that that there's some things that the public doesn't know about this. Are you allowed to really touch on these kind of things? Like, is there something that breaking news right here that we don't really know? Or are you allowed to really let that out?
Yeah, well, let's just say that.
Like an example.
So when he played injured with his shoulder, he could have not played, but he wanted to go out there and play for his team. Was he 100%? Absolutely not. I have respect for him because he worked his butt off every single day. He was the first one in the building, last one out. He didn't have to play with an injured shoulder. It was a really messed up shoulder. And even in the offseason, it was revealed that it was worse than they thought it would. But he still played. So I gave the kid a lot of credit. It just didn't work out. I'm not going to say everything that happened because I'm not allowed to. But
got it. Well, I agree. Mitch was like the prototype for a teammate that you want, right? He never threw his teammates under the bus. All you heard about was how hard he works to try to get better. And I do think Matt Nagy had a lot to do with kind of a sabotage type of mentality. And I have no inside knowledge on that or anything. But, I think both the Bears and Mitch needed this break, fresh start, and now back to Fields. What about Fields was so attractive to Matt Nagy?
But he can run.
Yeah.
I think
he can throw the deep ball. I mean, there's a lot of easy answers to that question.
Think
smart.
I think that he's not a guy that basically is the opposite of Nick Foles. He's not a guy that's a stationary quarterback and just stays in the pocket. When he has pressure coming at him, he can get out of the pocket and get a couple more yards. He's a guy. Probably when he plays, you're going to see a lot of more bootlegs, a lot of more like design plays, a lot of like trick plays. Yep. So it should be interesting. I think he did a lot of scouting on Justin Fields, and there's a lot that he liked about him. But it should be interesting to see what kind of play designs, what kind of formations they're going to do when he actually plays.
So before we jump into the Bears record, I'd like your thoughts on, the expanded season. What are your thoughts? They dropped the preseason games by one, added one to the regular season. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm more for football. I love football. So more games, especially if the Bears are good, I'm all for it.
More football, more better.
And so that brings me to, what do you, just first glance, let's say Justin Fields starts week 1. What do you think the Bears season record would look like?
I don't know what the record would be, but if they start week 1, the Bears will be the first place in the NFC North.
Ooh, I love it.
I like it.
I love it. Especially because it sounds more and more like Aaron Rodgers is done, right? Like there's a lot. Oh, the Packers offered him all this money. I feel like if Rodgers wanted to stay, if that news was legit that they offered him all that money, he would have taken it by now, right?
At least it's about money anymore.
Yeah, I just think he doesn't want to be there.
I just think he hates it there. I would hate to live in fucking Green Bay too. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, those jerseys are hideous. My dad hates their colors. Green and gold, but it's really like a mustard type of yellow. You know what I mean? So, Alan, you got any other questions?
Yeah, I do. Dan, big one I wanted to ask you. What do you think Sean Desai brings to this defense this year? You think we're going back to 2018? I mean, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
But I think
I think the biggest thing that he will bring is that player-coach relationship. I think he'll relate to the players. I think, Chuck Pagano, he, great coach, but I don't think he related to the players as much as Sean Desai will. And I think he will be more of an aggressive defensive coordinator, and he will not let the quarterback have as much time as we have seen in the past.
Thank you, Dan. I just went on a rant about that. So
I mean, we're all Bears fans here, and some of us are more meat-headed than others. Super Bears, Super Bowl, right? But let's try to rein in the meatheadness. And what what would you consider to be a successful season for this Bears team? Because, there's some guys out there right now who are like, oh, Justin Fields week 1 Super Bowl, and in reality, like, that's probably not going to happen. What would you consider to be a successful season for this team this year?
Playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, they did add an extra team to the playoffs, so if they don't, then you got some problems, right?
Well,
do you see any scenario where Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace aren't back next year?
That's a good question. It really all depends on the season. Like, that's why I would be shocked if Justin Fields doesn't start week 1 because, like I said, I mean, so if they don't start in week 1, then I'm convinced that, again, they've signed an extension. The defense is getting older. I mean, you can't waste years, and you got to win now. This is a win-now team. This is not a let's develop like this team for the next couple of seasons. I mean, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace have been here for several years already. Ryan Pace has been here for a while. I mean, it's time to see some results.
Agreed, for sure. We got a question here in the chat for you, Dan. Will we see an improved Khalil Mack under Sean Desai?
Yes, and I think you'll see a more healthy Khalil Mack. I think he was hurt for majority of this past season, and I think he'll be fully healthy, and you'll see him, and hopefully Robert Quinn steps up for games. But yeah, I think you'll see a better and improved Khalil Mack.
That was going to be my next question, was Robert Quinn. There was a lot of shakiness. They signed him for a lot of money, and then he really did not perform well at all last year. Do you see a scenario where, if he gets healthy and gets to even average level, where that defensive line, especially with Eddie Goldman coming back, could this defense, take over like it did back in 2018?
Yeah, I think what a lot of people are not talking about is the return of Eddie Goldman. I think he will be huge on the defensive line, and he will really help out Khalil Mack, Bilal Nichols, and Robert Quinn. So I think you'll see more of not double team and not triple team for Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn because Eddie Goldman will be there, which will give them more openings. I definitely think that Robert Quinn, I mean, he's a very interesting guy in the press conferences when he talks to the media. But what I loved about him when this past season, every time they asked what was the reason that you were struggling, he always blamed himself, which I love that. So I think you'll definitely see him have a better season this upcoming year.
Where do you see as the biggest weakness on this defense right now?
Linebacker.
Yep.
Danny Trevathan, he struggled this past season, especially in the first half of the year. Roquan Smith, I don't have any questions about him. It's just Danny Trevathan.
Christian Jones now too, coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
It should be, but Danny Trevathan, he's one of those players. He's pretty old in that roster, so it should be interesting to see what happens in that position.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if Danny comes back this year with a little bit more of an edge than he did last year, just because he's playing under Desai. It's a guy he feels a little bit more comfortable with. Maybe we'll see some progress with him taking a step forward rather than the step back that we saw him take in the first half of the season.
Absolutely.
So another area that's kind of made headlines, not so much right now, but during the season, was Allen Robinson and his contract situation. Going into this year, obviously he's on the franchise. Do you think that the drafting of Justin Fields will sway him one way or the other when it comes to maybe a long-term deal?
It all depends if Justin Fields sees the field. It really all depends. I mean, I was stunned that they didn't get a contract extension done with Allen Robinson. I don't know what they're doing over there with him. I mean, you got to sign him to an extension. They didn't. He got a franchise tag, but it really all depends on who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Bears and who's going to get the majority of the snaps in that position.
Yeah,
agree. So I have another one for you. I know. I think you're a Cubs fan. Am I wrong?
Cubs and White Sox.
Okay. You're going to be the straight and narrow guy. Since you're the Chicago everything guy. Okay, so this is kind of a question about both. So, first off, do you see Chris Bryant, or I can never say his name right, Jake Marisnick, maybe possibly being traded over to the White Sox? And if you do, what do you think they get for him?
I don't think it'll be the White Sox, but I definitely think that one of them will definitely get traded. I don't know where.
Who do you think gets traded though?
Chris Bryant.
Bryant?
I agree.
I've actually heard some reports that the Yankees are starting.
Yeah, that's where I've heard that he's most likely to go to the Yankees.
And a lot of people don't like that because they don't think the Yankees have the correct prospects. But you're not going to get as much as you think you're going to get for him. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I think that depends on how he plays up until.
Well, he's balling the fuck out right now.
Right, he's on an MVP type of trajectory right now. I mean, without him, imagine where this Cubs team would be. And I was one of the biggest critics of Chris Bryant going into this year because he has really underperformed the last 3 seasons. And this year, he shut me up. The dude's carrying this offense by himself right now.
So if you had to keep one, Dan, would it be Javi Baez or would it be Chris Bryant? Because you know that we're not going to be able to keep all these guys.
Right.
Somebody's got to leave. Or you can throw Rizzo in there too.
I would definitely keep Anthony Rizzo.
Okay.
Not just because of what he does on the field, but what he does off the field. I would rather keep Wilson Contreras and Javier Baez over Chris Bryant.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think is that because they'd be cheaper?
Well, I just think how many seasons have they been talking about it with Chris Bryant about a contract extension? I mean, if you're not going to get it done the last couple of seasons, you're not going to get it done.
Well, yeah, and you're probably going to have to pay that guy top money, and that's kind of where I'm at with it too. Like, if you can get him really to guarantee to less money, not 300 fucking million, then okay, yeah, maybe we have that conversation. But I would rather, just like you said, have that core of Wilson Contreras. I don't even know about keeping Javi. I think there's a lot of shortstops out on the market right now for this offseason that you can go find another one. I'm pretty sure Kluberson's up at the end of this year. I think I'm forgetting some other ones. Trevor Story, I think, is up this year. There's
a bunch. There's a lot of
there's a lot of shortstop free agents, and maybe you get Rizzo on. I don't think you're going to get a team-friendly deal anymore with him because that's all he's ever had is fucking team-friendly deals.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man, is like he's not producing for much more than a team-friendly deal at this point. Like, he has moments this year, but
I bet you somebody overpays him, though.
Well, yeah, because somebody's going to have the money to, but the Cubs shouldn't. I love Anthony Rizzo. I bought my kid a Rizzo jersey and all that stuff, but he's not worth a giant contract. He's just not at this point in his career.
I would agree, Angelo and Alan. I would say in regards to Anthony Rizzo, he's came out many times and said that he wants to play his entire career as a Cub. Yeah. So I think the team does have a little bit of leverage there when you look at
yes and no,
a
because
team-friendly deal.
We just talked to Bernard Berrian about this, guys, and he said that the difference was the money. I mean, at the end of the day, money talks and bullshit walks.
That's true.
That's
no, I didn't expect this conversation to go baseball, which I'm
sorry
okay with. But
I had to ask them.
I get it.
I know he's got a little baseball.
We could segue from the Cubs right into the White Sox. This is a team that a week ago people were wanting. Tony La Russa ran out of town.
I still do.
And but now they're just hitting the ball everywhere. Do you see the White Sox as a team that has that real chance to make some noise in the playoffs and make it potentially to a World Series?
Yes, definitely think they have a really good chance. And for those that don't like Tony La Russa, I am kind of in that boat. I think you will see his tactics in the playoffs, and if we'll see if it's good or bad. I mean, it really depends. So far, it hasn't been that great. But in the playoffs, it really shows. Like that's where the managers step up with their tactics and really help out their team. So it'll be interesting to see what he does on there. But I definitely think they have a really good chance in it. They're a really good team.
It's hard to not honestly bet on them at this point.
Yeah, and Dan, I'm not sure how much longer you got with us, but we were about to jump into this conversation, me, Tarbill, and Alan. You follow Chicago sports. You know good defenses. You know good pitching. What to you is more entertaining, watching a dominant pitcher or watching a dominant defense?
Pitcher.
Pitcher?
Why?
Yeah.
Really?
I just think when a pitcher has it going, he has it going. He has that look. It's funny, like Lucas Giolito, he had that when he did that. Like his pitching is just when he has that look, no one can stop him. So I don't know. I just find it entertaining.
I remember Mark Burley having that look a lot back in the day.
Yeah. Every pitch is just, is it a strike? Is he gonna miss? You know, it's just I just find it very entertaining when a pitcher has it going. It's just must see TV for me.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Somebody went the opposite on that one. Finally.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have this discussion afterwards. Dan, I want to thank you, man, for coming on. You know, we appreciate the love that you show 1252. I don't think you understand, you know, the impact you've had on 1252 since, you know, you watched the Hester interview and then the Jim McMahon interview did what it did, really because of, you know, your tweeting out there. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter?
Yeah, so my Twitter is @ShySportUpdates.
Awesome, man.
They don't know that by now. They live under a fucking rock.
That's right. Yeah,
exactly.
All right, Dan. Well, thanks again, man, for coming on. We really appreciate it. It was awesome talking with you and hope we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, guys.
Anytime, Dan.
Yep. Thanks, Dan. Take care.
Woo! Our guy, Daniel Greenberg, jumping on Sport Core, baby. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad we kind of went and talked a little baseball with him.
I had to.
Oh, definitely.
Well, no, I liked it. He's a huge Chicago sports guy, right? And right now, baseball season is in full swing, no pun intended.
I'm not doing my due justice if I don't ask the man who has his beat on everything Chicago sports at least one Cubs question. I'm not doing my job.
No, I did. Like, I had it planned for baseball, but I'm glad we touched on it because it's really crazy how in a week both the teams kind of flopped where we thought they were, right?
Yep.
But that's baseball.
Right.
That's sports in general, Angelo.
Right,
Remember how we felt about the Bears? We were just talking about
That's true. Yep,
we were just talking, you know, a couple of weeks ago we were ready to crucify them. You know, on our draft show even, we're like, oh, here we go.
And then we're all sitting there giddy as a schoolgirl.
And now we're all fangirling out. I love it.
You know, with that, I just want to say, I do think out of any fan base in the world, Chicago sports fans are the most critical of their teams.
I wouldn't say that.
I think it's because we're up there. I think it's because we love our teams so much.
And it's the passion, it's the excitement, the drive, right?
Well, you know, Jets fans love the Jets. Yeah, but here's the thing, man, is like Chicago and like Wrigley Field, right? Where is Wrigley Field? It's located literally smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood. You feel like it's right in your backyard. You know what I mean? And same thing with Soldier Field. You're there and you feel like there's just this family atmosphere. People tailgate. I know people tailgate everywhere, but there's just a special connection with Chicago sports fans and their teams. Maybe it's the history of how long the teams have been around or all the history that these teams have made. But you know, I would never change my Chicago sports fan.
I'm ready to get away from that history, though.
No,
I'm ready for a new fucking stadium. I'm ready for a new QB. I'm ready for all this, man. And I know you got a lot of meatheads out there that are going to be like, oh, you got to stay at Soldier. We got to keep the columns, blah, blah, blah. I'm not one of those guys anymore. I used to be one of those fucking guys.
I'm not. I was at Wrigley Field on Friday. It was cold. Right?
Yeah.
I'll be all for a nice indoor retractable roof stadium for the Bears where I could go to a casino downstairs.
Imagine that, Angelo. That's exactly what I was going to say. Imagine being able to go to fucking Arlington Heights, right?
Yeah.
Walk into a massive casino. I'm done. I'm going to go see a concert right now in the middle of fucking January.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not get excited about that?
You could go out to dinner at a nice restaurant, hit the casino, and then hit the show.
They probably have nice-ass dinners in the fucking stadium.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You do a nice restaurant in there, you hit the casino, you hit the show right afterwards.
So much revenue. And, like, I have people on my Bears pages, and we had this argument on there. You know,
what's your Bears page on?
It's Bears Fans with a Brain.
Oh, so we should make sure that everybody heads to Facebook and follow Bears Fans with a Brain.
We keep it clean and we keep debating. That's what we do.
We're master debaters on that.
We're master debaters. We don't insult. We just debate.
Yep.
And if somebody doesn't agree, we debate them until they do. That's period what we do. And if you don't like that, you can fucking go.
Yeah, you can go.
End of fucking story. But anyway, sorry. So a lot of people said, well, you know, it's going to cost all this taxpayer money. Either way, you're either going to renovate Soldier Field, and that's going to be $1 billion or so from the city, or you're going to do this here in Arlington or wherever, and you're still going to be doing the same shit either way. Let's just go get a new stadium. Let's, you know, hopefully do it right this time. Let's not have the fucking same bullshit we had with this past one, because that place is a fucking joke. It's completely undermanned. We're the third biggest market, and I'm pretty sure, again, not a stats guy, I think we're the lowest attendance in the league.
Right? We are the lowest attendance
stadium.
So
a stadium in the league.
No-brainer, guys.
Smaller than Lambeau Field. Like, let that get like what?
But why? Insane. Because you're stuck on the lakefront.
Right. And don't get me wrong. That's a beautiful stadium.
Well,
I've been there. Well, okay. So it's a beautiful sky.
It's a beautiful spaceship.
When you're in the when you're in the
it's a beautiful atmosphere.
If you're beaming to fucking Mars, yeah, it's amazing. But
yeah, it's a pain in the ass to leave.
Nightmare.
Yeah. And you can't Uber in, which is unfortunate. Like Bears do need to get with the times. So
that's one of the key things about Arlington. If they were to move there, you've got train access right there. How huge would that be just to be able to ride the train?
Yeah. Chubbs right there. I hate having to walk as far just to get to the stadium at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
You hate having to do that hike, right?
Yeah.
Make it like, you know, White Sox Park or Sellout Park, as I call it. You have a giant lot right there. Everybody can fucking tailgate. It's a massive area. It's beautiful, right? You don't have that with Wrigley Field. You don't have that with Soldier Field. You have tradition. Yeah. And that's all we have anymore. Like,
I remember the first time
I'm over it.
Well, I don't know why you have to bring Wrigley into the conversation.
Because
Alan.
it's the same
man. Why you gotta bring my dog into the conversation?
It's the same thing at Wrigley. There's nowhere to fucking tailgate.
Right. If you don't,
you have nowhere to go.
If you don't know somebody in the area for parking, it's a pain in the ass.
It is.
You're spending tons of money and walking blocks. Period.
Yep.
I just think it's time, guys. It's time to get with it. It's 2021.
It is.
Come on.
I agree. Now,
sorry,
we haven't discussed.
Yeah, we haven't.
The question that I wanted to talk about.
That was boring.
We have not.
We'll just hit on it because I want to wrap the show up here pretty quick.
Oh.
More fun to watch a dominating pitching performance or a dominating defensive performance. Tarbill,
Andrew,
I'll let you go first.
Well, I have to ask one question on this question. Am I at the game for these performances?
Yes.
Okay.
So
no, because I know you're going to say defense.
You can watch it on fucking TV.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm sitting at home, it's the more dominant defense for me.
Okay.
If I'm there in person, it's the pitching performance. There's just something that elevates great pitching at a baseball game when you're there. Great defense is something I can see every week from my couch and, you know, love it. I love the game of football, but if I'm at Wrigley Field and I'm seeing a no-hitter be thrown or just, I won't say a no-hitter be thrown, but a stellar pitching performance at Wrigley Field live, that's something to me that's going to be a little bit more meaningful, a little more exciting because I'm there. It's, you know, it's one of those things where there's not a lot of guys that sit and watch an entire game of Cubs baseball anymore. A lot of guys watch highlights. I enjoy baseball personally, but you know, for the younger demographic, it's been harder to get them to draw into watching baseball games. And I think if you look at a guy if you look at a guy that's into baseball like myself, yeah, I love watching games on TV. I will catch every Cubs and every Sox game that I can watch during the season, but it's just much more meaningful when you're at the stadium getting to witness something that great. And I guess you could say that for a stellar defensive performance as well. But I mean, I've been to plenty of Bears games where the defense played stellar, but that's what I expected them to do, so it wasn't a shock.
Right. I get that. Now, not Tarbill, sorry, Alan. I just asked Tarbill. Alan, what do you think?
So, Andrew, I understand your point because we're more used to the defense of the Chicago Bears being good. We're a lot, more accustomed to that than seeing a no-hitter. Right. It's almost like a white whale. It's something you don't see, right? Okay, I get that. Right. But the reason I pick an NFL defensive performance is because, yes, the pitcher has all these fielders. Yes, he can have somebody bail him out, blah, 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 all that stuff. But when you see a great NFL defense, you see a fine-tuned machine, everyone working together and having, an amazing fucking accomplishment as a group. Yes, you have, as a baseball team, you're a team, you're a group, but it's more of a single performance. You have to have everybody on fucking point all the time, play after play after play, for an NFL defense to be that great and have a shutout. So for me, it's always going to be NFL. I love seeing a no-hitter. I mean, who doesn't? But how often have you watched a baseball game and you start the game off, it's going, blah, 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 and you're like, oh, I'm getting a little bored. You turn it off, and then all of a sudden you hear, oh, it's been 7 innings, and, whoever's pitching is throwing a no-hitter. Like, you're fucking jumping back on to watch that, right? You're watching an NFL game the whole time. True. That's just me.
No, you're right.
You're always paying attention to an NFL game. Every play matters. There's more plays, I'm pretty sure, in that than you're going to get, having fucking 28 batters or whatever. I don't know how many plays it is per defense or whatever that is, but you're going to have more plays and you have to have a lot more go right. For
understand
a shutout. But my opinion again.
All right. So I thought about this question for, a good 4 days. I think I texted you guys that this is something I wanted to talk about. There's just, to me, something about watching it at home or in person or at a bar when you're watching, especially if you're in the playoffs, right? And you're watching your baseball team and in the playoffs, every single pitch is crucial. And you just have a guy, somebody like a Jake Arrieta, right, where he's on the mound and he is just dealing one after the other after the other. There's nothing like the roar of that crowd.
Agree.
On a 2-strike swing and miss, 7th inning, guy on third, type of reaction. To me, the mentality that goes into baseball and pitching, especially between the batter and the pitcher or the catcher and the pitcher, and having your pitching performances, to me, are just something special. I love watching a dominant pitching performance. Now, being in the stadium, I can understand how that would get boring.
Well, no. See, I don't think that. I think if you're watching it live, I think a no-hitter would be more fun, honestly. But if you're just watching at home on a Thursday night football or a Thursday night baseball game, I myself am probably going to be going towards the football game, and knowing that defense is just dealing and just, getting after the quarterback and, throwing interceptions and that kind of shit. I'm going to turn on the baseball game if they tell me it's, 6 innings in and he's throwing a no-no. But That's just my preference.
Well,
Like,
no, you're right.
It's more
like,
romantic.
You really don't notice it's a
baseball
like you
game.
said, you don't notice it's a dominant performance until really the 6th inning, because then you're like,
Right.
oh man,
You're like, oh shit,
nobody's gotten on base.
But
there's a chance.
when you watch a football game, the first quarter, they're fucking wheeling and dealing, and it's 0-10. You're like, oh shit, here we go. They're bringing it today.
And maybe
watching them.
maybe I'm spoiled because of
We're
the
spoiled.
defenses we've watched in Chicago football. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
you don't get many of those dominating pitching performances from the Cubs, especially. You know, and
Zambrano, who was the last person to throw a no-hitter for the Cubs?
Alec Mills last year.
Yeah, that's
Mills,
right.
Oh yeah, Alec Mills. That was
I forgot it, right? I already forgot it. But
Yeah.
you know what? I don't forget. I don't forget the Bears completely dominating teams.
That's true. I do remember.
I don't forget
the
2018.
Carolina Panthers that one year with or was it the Titans where they just were like causing fumbles left and right. Peanut was punching the ball and Briggs was running them back. And you're right. So I guess that answers the question, right? Is
look at this.
Memorable.
Here comes Chubbs. I will put the roar of Aaron Rodgers being sacked up against Jake Arrieta pitch crowd any day of the week, and he's been to both. So
enough.
Chubbs agrees with me.
Chubbs settled the debate.
That's just what it is for me. It's your preference, but if you're live, there's nothing more romantic than a good baseball game. Watching some guy wheel and deal like that. Like I've been to Sox games where it was 1-0, but I loved watching the pitching duel. You know, but that's just my preference. It's just if I'm at home watching, I'm gonna pick football every time.
All right. Well, on that note, boys, I think it was one hell of a show. I want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors. Bernard Berrian, thanks for jumping on with us. Daniel Greenberg, our guy, you know, always pushing out our content on Twitter. We greatly appreciate it. 1252 is grateful for everything you do. And hey, everybody in the chat, it was awesome. Chubb definitely stood out tonight. He was the most vocal of all of our guests.
That was another good one.
It was just a good show, man. I had a great time. Yeah. Make sure you guys head to Facebook. Go follow Alan's page, Bears Fans with a Brain. It's a great page. It's just growing, man.
That's what I'm on the internet.
5,000 already, right?
I think I just hit 5.1. That's what somebody
nice. Look at that, 5.1.
I don't know if that's true or not, but
we'll take a look. Head over to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's real simple to find me at SportsCoreAC. And then go follow the 1252 on Twitter at 1252_sports. Tarbill, where can all of our people find you?
I'm at Tarbill1252 on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook as well. As Alan was mentioning there, we do have the 1252 Sports Chicago Twitch going now. So make sure you give us a follow
Alan,
there.
You want to tell everybody how to find us on there?
On the Twitch, I don't have the handle up, but I'm pretty sure that it is Twitch/1252 Chicago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it too.
Pretty sure that's what it is. I should have wrote that down.
No, you're right. It is twitch.tv/1252 Sports Chicago. That's what it is. So head over there. We just started the page, the channel. We're hoping to do a lot of fun stuff on there, man. Maybe do a couple giveaways where you get to play some of our guys on the 1252 on MLB The Show.
Fred Hubner. If I can talk Freddie into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Who knows? We might even do a 1252 The Show tournament or something.
I'm getting better at it, guys.
I'm terrible at that game.
I'm still playing the hitting. I'm above fucking beginner now. My problem is that I swing at everything, and every time I do, somebody throws like a wild ball out in the side. I'm still fucking swinging. I'm like Javi Baez, man.
I swing at
everything.
4 feet away from the plate, I'm going for it.
Yep. It's I just hit. I don't. If it's a ball, it could be 5 feet.
Mike told me swing at everything.
That's right.
Just
You'll eventually
swing at everything. You're gonna hit something.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks again for jumping on with me tonight. It was a hell of a show. Great time. Thanks everybody for watching. Go follow all of our stuff. We'll see you next week.
Bye.